Shanti. We talked about our nature and we are trying to know who I am, just like the first day I asked you to reflect on this question of who am I. So, whenever you want to know somebody, there are 6 things that you should know in order to know somebody. So, first thing is the name, then the form, how they look, and third is address, fourth is their qualities, fifth is their occupation or what they do, and sixth is your relationship with them. Only then can you engage with somebody. So you should know their name, form, address, their quality, their occupation, and their relationship with you. Now, with respect to our true identity, we should also know these 6 things: my real name, my real form, my real address, my real qualities, my real occupation, and my relationship with myself. So, we talked about the name, which is I am a soul. We talked about the form, that I look like a point of light. We talked about the temporary address, which is behind the eyes. There is a permanent address of the soul as well, which we will take up some other time. So the temporary address, we know I sit behind the eyes. I know my qualities now, that I am basically knowledgeful, pure, peaceful, loveful, happy, blissful, and powerful. So these are my qualities. Today, I would first talk a little about why is it so important to know what your nature is. Nowadays, whenever we are in a situation or we are with a person, if you think deeply, it is the nature of the situation or the nature of the person who decides how you would feel, how you would behave in that situation or in the face of that person, right? We are in various situations in the whole day, and we are with people who have various kinds of sanskars. And when we are in these situations and with these people, mostly it is a fact that the situation's quality or the way the other person is behaving or how they are talking or how they are being dictates how I behave with them or how I behave in that situation. Right? Now, if it is so, we are in a very vulnerable space. Because if the situation or the person in front of me decides how I would behave or think or feel, then I have no control whatsoever over my whole own life. I call this as my life, but then I do not have any control over my life, because my life starts with my thought. And thoughts lead to feelings, feelings lead to attitude, attitude leads to action, and then what I do, what I think, I have to bear the consequences of that. So my life is a product of how I think, how I act, and if how I think and how I act is decided by people and situations, then my life is basically being dictated by other people and situations. So I am living like a slave. I am a slave to my situations and I am a slave to other people's behaviors, which is not a very good place to be in. Now, I will give you a very small example of how much of a slave we are these days. So, you just envision a scenario where every day you leave for office and you leave with your lunch, and while you are walking up to the cab or to your car or to the bus stop or metro, whatever, you encounter a beggar every day. And that beggar looks very miserable to you. You feel he is in need of help. So one day you think you plan to have a big heart, and then what you do is instinctively you take out your freshly packed lunch and you empty its contents into his begging bowl, and you say, "Aaj aap kha lo." Okay, so you are being very generous and you offer your food to him. And then what he immediately does is he takes that begging bowl and he just empties it into the garbage bin beside him. You are standing there, your freshly packed lunch is going into the garbage bin, and you are seeing it. Now, how do you feel? Okay, so you feel upset, you feel enraged, you feel that this person is so thankless, and you probably start scripting that this is because he ended up being a beggar because he has no gratitude, and you think a lot of things, and maybe you also speak some of them. But the basic thing is, a person on the street who is not even an acquaintance has the power to upset you. Okay. And this also brings us to another big question, which is the question of karma. So, when people say that those who do good karma never suffer, it is said people who do good karma never suffer. So then you did a very good karma, you fed the hungry. Why did you suffer? So that person is still hungry and you did a good karma, but you are not in a better place. You are in a miserable place after doing a good karma. So this brings us to the question of what exactly is good karma. Because if feeding the hungry is good karma, then in this case, you fed the hungry and it doesn't look like good karma because it's not giving you any happiness. So, one thing I would here like you to think about is good karma is a privilege of people who are great. So you can't be not great and do good karma because your action will only be as worthy as you. Okay, so you are a certain quality, and if you want your karma to be good quality, then good quality karma can be done by good quality souls. Now, what is a good quality soul, or who is an elevated soul? So that is why okay, so Muktaban, what I'm saying is good karma cannot be performed by souls who are in low energy, or who are not in their highest state of consciousness, which we will understand gradually what I mean by that. Because if, just like, okay, we will take an example which makes it clear. So you have a glass which is dirty on the inside, okay? And then you want to serve fresh and pure water out of that dirty glass. Can you do it? No. So as soon as you pour the water, it gets dirty. So because the glass is dirty. Similarly, karma is done by the soul. So first, I, the soul, think, then I evaluate whether I want to put this into action or not, and then I act. But before thinking, I have to also think about what kind of a state of mind or buddhi or understanding or sanskar do I have. Because my quality of thought will be in keeping with the quality of I, the soul. So we talked about Suman, Subuddhi and Divya Sanskars yesterday. Okay. So only if your mind is your best friend and you have a Subuddhi and you have good sanskars, can your thought, feeling, attitude, action that emerge from it be of good quality. All right, now in this example of the beggar, let's understand what I mean by what I just said. Now, in this example of the beggar, this person is moving with the belief system that he has a power to make somebody feel better or worse. Okay? You are moving with an assumption that you can decide whether somebody will be happy or miserable. And with this assumption, you are trying to ensure that that person gets happy. But knowledge says, and we covered it in a different session, that you cannot decide whether somebody will be happy or miserable, because that depends on his sanskar. And nobody can decide whether you will feel happy or miserable, because what you feel is based on your sanskar. So when you offer help to somebody, you should know that you are doing your bit, you are offering your help, but you do not have power over that person's destiny. And being happy or miserable is an aspect of that person's destiny. And that person will choose to be happy or miserable according to what he wants to make of his life. And that should not stop you from either doing good karma or feeling good despite that person rejecting your help. Do you get it? So only when you are knowledgeful, that is, you are doing everything with perfect knowledge of what is in your control and what is not in your control, can you stay peaceful? Can you stay pure? Your mind doesn't get cluttered. Can you stay still loveful? Can you stay still happy? So this is why I told you these 7 qualities are in order: knowledge, purity, peace, love, happiness, bliss, and power. Because if you are not knowledgeful, if you are living your life with assumptions which are not in alignment with the truth, then you will try to do things in a manner that is not in keeping with the spiritual laws. And then you will get disturbed because you don't get the desired result. and then your peace is gone, and then you block your love, and you say that everybody betrays and life is very unpredictable, so I don't know who to trust, I don't know what is good, what is bad, I'm very confused. And then you end up being so not loveful, and then that takes away your happiness and your bliss, and slowly you feel you are powerless. So this is how it happens. So this is why knowledge is very important. So this piece of knowledge that you can do what you think is the right thing to do, but you cannot expect anybody to behave in the manner you expect them to behave after you did the right thing. All right. So you are a soul. You act according to your sanskar, and they are a soul. They have full liberty to act according to their sanskars, but their sanskars should not and cannot influence you from acting against your sanskars. Okay, so you can still continue to be who you are. And this is what I was trying to tell you when I said that don't live your life like a slave, live your life like a master. So when we say don't live your life like a slave, you do what makes sense to you, and how other people behave or how other people respond or how the situation behaves or the situation responds, don't go into that. So don't let the situation or other people dictate how you behave. You behave according to your understanding of what is the right thing to do. Okay? And for that, because we are moving from one spectrum to the other, it's not a small journey. So we have lived our life until now, wherein all our thoughts, feelings, actions were dependent on the situation or the person. And that is why it has become a vicious cycle. So, with situations dictating your feelings, and then your feelings dictating your actions, and your actions influencing the situation, and then again the situation influencing your feelings. So, it is getting worse and worse every day. So, for you to be able to decide what is the right and good thing or the appropriate thing to do without taking cognizance of the situation or the person, you have to know your quality, your purpose, your occupation, independent of how the world behaves. All right. Now, I will give you a very small example with regard to what I'm trying to tell you. You see, most people decide what time they have to wake up according to how other members of the family are behaving. For example, if a member of the family has to leave for office at 7, then they have to wake up at 5 and prepare food or breakfast or lunch. And if the children have to go to school, then it's if they have to leave at 6:30, then accordingly the man or the lady of the house has to wake up, and then they have to prepare so that they leave on time. So basically, the time you wake up is being decided by the current situation and the people around you. Now, this becomes very difficult because you don't have any, you are not doing it for yourself then, right? So you don't have any say in it. So then slowly, gradually, you feel very miserable about your life because you are doing it for others. And if they have to go late, okay, you can sleep until late. If they have to go early, then you have to wake up early. So then this feeling that I have to do will definitely come up, because you have to do it because of the situation. Now, for us, I wake up at 3:30 in the morning every day, irrespective of the season, irrespective of the work there is or there isn't. If there is seva, also it is 3:30. If there is no seva, also it is 3:30. So this is my personal discipline. Okay. And when I have incorporated this in my life, then I dictate the terms of my situations. This is an experience I'm telling you. Because when you become the master, then automatically the other party becomes the slave. So it's not about they making you the slave, it's about you choosing to be a slave. So when you choose to be a slave, they become the master. Now, when you become the master, that is, you decide what time you have to wake up every day as a discipline, and it has got nothing to do with your external situation, then you experiment with this fact that I'm telling you, and you will experience that all the elements of the universe kind of connive together and support you in this. So, what I have seen is, because we have adopted our personal disciplines about what time we have to sleep, what time we have to wake up, what time we have to do what, and what time we don't have to do something, then other factors move around us. And we don't have to coerce them or force them or kind of dictate terms to them. No, it's a law. When you become the master, they become the slave. If you choose to be the slave, they will be the master. And I'm not talking about just people. People are a very small unit. I'm also talking about the forces of nature. So, your body, your whole, your all your sanskars, everything, and the five elements of nature, they will behave in accordance to you when you have decided your discipline. And it's a very powerful thing to know. So, this is what you decide, your nature, your structure of life. And when you have fixed that for yourself, then everything else will fall into place according to your timetable and your structure and your nature. Now, uh, if we apply this in other situations, for example, just like we talked about, what is my nature? So, my nature is purity, peace, love, happiness, bliss, power. So, I have to stick to my nature. I have to stick to my nature, come what may. Okay. So, even if the other person is shouting, let that person shout, because that's his choice. He wants to shout, he can shout. But you choose to speak at a pace, at a frequency you think is comfortable and in sync with your spirit. Okay. Do you feel good after shouting? No. Then why do you choose to shout? Just because the other person is shouting? That person chooses to shout, let them shout. And if you choose to maintain your tone of voice, maintain your state of mind, then I guarantee you it will take some time, but you can pull that person into your frequency. If you continue to be patient, that person will have to surrender to your patience after some time. Okay. So this is why you should know who you are, practice who you are, stabilize yourself in who you are, and always and in any situation, irrespective of how fierce or how light or how powerful or powerless the situation is, you continue to act in accordance with your nature. Okay, the situation and other person's behaviors should not decide how you behave. For example, see, uh, if there is a threat to maybe your professional position, okay, suppose You are working with a company and there is a threat to your professional position. Now, if you stay calm and keep doing what you need to do in order to deal with that situation, and the second option is you start getting all worked up and agitated and angry, and you start getting into that blame game, and then you do what you need to do. Which of the two responses will yield better results? The first one, right? So, if you stick to your nature, you can still do what you need to do in the situation, and you will be in a better position to do the right thing in that situation. Okay. Now, here, what I want you to appreciate is no reaction doesn't mean no action. So there is this very difficult understanding. I don't know how it has come into being, but people think no reaction means no action. Okay. No reaction doesn't mean you don't do anything in the situation. You do what you need to do, but you just do it anchored within and you are not disturbed. You don't do more than you need to do, you don't do less than you need to do. When you are upset from your inner state, you either do more than you need to do or you do less than you need to do. So, when you are stable within yourself, it doesn't mean you don't do anything, but you think before you do, not you do and then think. Okay, so your actions, it is our duty to act. You cannot not act in a situation. You have to act in every situation. And without action, there are no results. But how you act is very important. So you are living in a world which is called Karamkshetra, Kurukshetra. Okay, so Karamkshetra means not doing anything is also action. Right? I am not doing anything is also a thought, and that's also a choice, and that is also an act that you did. That I will not do anything. All right. So this Kurukshetra means, this Karamkshetra means you cannot not do anything. Everything is an action. Even if I choose not to speak, I will have an effect here, right? So my speaking will do something, my not speaking will also do something. So everything is an action and every action has a result. What you have to choose is what do you want to do and how do you want to do it. All right. So no reaction never means no action. It just means no reaction. So when you practice this soul consciousness and you every day and every moment remind yourself of your quality that I am a calm, stable, peaceful, anchored soul, then you stay in your stability and respond in the best manner that the situation deserves. All right. And I have won many battles in life just because of the fact that I have not done anything excess or anything less. Okay, so when I am in a situation, after the situation is over, I have always heard this compliment, आपने एक भी गलत बात नहीं बोली, आपने एक भी ज़्यादा कुछ नहीं किया, you did what was appropriate. So appropriate action you can only perform when you are anchored within very nicely. All right, so this is, so we are moved by emotions. So this is basically what we have to deal with. We don't have to be moved by emotions. Now, what are emotions and what are feelings? So feelings are when you are anchored within. So these love, peace, purity, these are feelings, and you don't have to be barren inside. It's not like you become a stone and there is no you don't have a heart or you don't have feelings. But those feelings are not the manic depressive kind. So they are not like one moment you are dancing and one moment you are just, you are a mess. Though they are not the manic depressive kind feelings, they are feelings that are sustainable. Okay, so psychology says that negative emotions are like a sledgehammer. They come, they cut, they sever, and they have a very strong effect. That is how their nature is. And positive feelings are like soft breeze. So, you have to be very sensitive to feel that. So, basically, it is because of this lack of sensitivity that we are craving for this drama all the time. So, we are not able to get in touch with our feelings. So, in order to feel anything, we go to the negative emotions. Yeah, because we want to feel alive. So, all these negative emotions arising from drama is giving us a high because we don't have the sensitivity to get in touch with the subtle feelings of the soul. So, once you start getting a little quieter on the inside, you get in touch with your feelings, you get in touch with how you feel on the inside as a pure being, as a peaceful being, how comfortable you are with yourself. And then you don't need this drama inside. And what you don't need, you don't create. So we are all creating drama, okay? Even if we don't accept it, we would say the other person is creating a drama, but we are also enjoying it a lot. So we are enjoying all that drama because it gives us a feeling of being alive, even if it is the worst kind, the most negative kind, where people are beating each other. It is still very enjoyable for us because it is high frequency, and that drama gives us a feeling of being alive. So that is the thing about emotions. That is why, these channels which produce the stuff of like these binge watch series and these movies, they have a set pattern where they put up the right mix of all the emotions. Okay, and there are 5 primary emotions: lust, anger, ego, attachment, and greed. Lust, anger, ego, attachment, and greed. These are the 5 emotions basically, which is right now the soup or the recipe which every soul is enjoying. Because you are not in touch with your feelings, so you are in touch with your emotions. Now, why I say this is because when you talk about darkness, darkness doesn't have an identity of its own. Darkness is the absence of light. Okay? So, darkness cannot exist on its own. Darkness doesn't have its own existence individually. Darkness is simply the absence of light. So, similarly, these emotions are the absence of feelings. So, when you are low on love, purity, peace, happiness, bliss, and power, then these lust, anger, ego, attachment, and greed take over because they fill that empty space. All right. So what I want to focus on today is remember who you are, and in every situation, don't ask yourself what are they doing, what is the situation doing. We tend to analyze the situation and the other person are rather too much. But ask yourself this one question: what is my nature and what do I have to do? Okay, what they are doing is their problem. Okay, they can do whatever they want, they can kill themselves if they want, not my problem. I have to focus on what is my nature and what I want to do in this situation and how I want to respond to the situation. So don't ask yourself what they are doing. Ask yourself what you think is your nature and how you think you should respond to this situation. And when you ask yourself this right question, then you will get the right answer. How you talk to yourself determines what answer you get from yourself. If you ask yourself the right question, then you will get the right answer. So ask yourself, who am I? What is my nature? And what is the thing I want to do in this situation? And if you keep doing your thing, they will have to surrender to you. Okay, so I have seen situations where the person in front is shouting at this pitch. And then I just keep saying, okay, now this is it. So what do you expect of me? So they keep shouting and I keep repeating this one thing. What is it you expect? You just tell me that. And this is how I maintain my pitch. And after half an hour, when they're fully exhausted, they come down to my level and then we talk. Okay, so this is how you have to maintain who you are, and then they will also come to your frequency if you don't get sucked into their frequency. All right, so this is why who am I and what is my nature and what do I think is the right thing to do according to the knowledge I'm getting. So when you are knowledgeful, you can decide on what is the right thing to do, irrespective of how new or how unaccustomed to the situation you are. Knowledge gives you a lot of clarity about what you need to do in this situation, and then keeping yourself anchored in your nature and doing that thing. All right. Now, so this is one part of it. So knowing who you are, knowing your nature, knowing that I have to stick to my nature, I have to do according to my nature. Now, about consciousness, we were talking yesterday. So I will give you a very simple example of consciousness. And I earlier told you that how you think is based on who you are. Right? So in that example of the beggar, I told you that if you are a certain kind of a soul, you will think accordingly. Right? So please write down certain words. I will explain it to you gradually, but you should know the chain of it all. So first comes consciousness. Consciousness, then attitude, then perception, then thought, then action, then habit, personality, relationships, and destiny. Okay, this is your roadmap to destiny, creating your destiny. Okay, consciousness, attitude, perception, action, perception, thought, then action, habit, personality, relationships, and destiny. Okay, this is the flow. Now, you need to know this whole flow, because anywhere in between you want to introduce a change, it doesn't work. You want to just change your thought, you can change it for some time, but it will not change permanently. If you want to change your behavior or your action, you will change it for some time, but then if your consciousness hasn't changed, it won't change permanently. So, this is the process of creation of destiny. So, you have to start from consciousness, and that is what is unique about the study you are doing, because you must have heard many spiritual lectures until now. Maybe this is not the first time you're sitting for a spiritual session, but what every spiritual session does is they talk about changing your thought or your action. Okay, do this, don't do that, think like this, don't think like that. But you can't change your thought until you change your consciousness, and nobody talks about that. Okay, so this is why you need to know the change in destiny starts from a change in consciousness. Now, what do I mean when I say consciousness? Let me give you a very small example. So, let's say there is a doctor and he is a very renowned surgeon and he is very good at his work. Now he goes into the operation theater and he has to perform an operation. When he goes to the operation theater, he is fully ready to perform the surgery, and there are numerous surgeries he has done before this, so it's child's play for him. But when he sees the patient's face, the patient is his own son. Okay, so when he sees the patient's face, the patient is his own son. Now, do you think that the doctor will be able to perform the surgery, or if at all, yes, he will perform the surgery? Will he be the same? Like, will he have the same capacity as earlier? Generally, not. Okay, why? What happened in that 1 second? The consciousness shifted. From I am a doctor, he went to I am a father. Okay? And with that consciousness shift, his attitude changed, his perception changed, his thoughts changed, and his capacity to act also changed. All right. So, who am I is a very crucial question, because that decides your attitude, how you see things, what emotions or feelings it triggers in you, how you think, how you act. All that is decided by your state of who you are. All right. Now, let's take a very everyday example. Some days you are feeling very good about yourself. Okay. So, on those days, your consciousness is I'm an achiever. And then somebody tries to put you down and you just finish that person. Why? Because you are an achiever that day, so your attitude and your perception is very mighty powerful that time. But then some days you are not yourself, and then you are in the consciousness I'm a loser. And in those days, if somebody tries to put you down, they are able to do that. Right? Because how you think about yourself determines how you see the situation, how you see other people around you, what effect their words or their behavior has on you. Okay, so this consciousness is a very important element, the most important element in deciding your journey to your destiny. So, this is why we are focusing so much on who am I. Now, when you think of yourself as a soul by design is indestructible, immutable. So a soul never dies, a soul has nothing to fear. Okay? And a soul is complete in itself. It's like a seed which has everything contained in itself. So, as a soul, you have no desire and no fear. And these desire and fear are the primary problem in life. So they actually disturb your inner state. So when you are soul conscious, you don't have any desire and you don't have any fear. And when you don't have any desire, then everything comes to you. And when you don't have any fear, nobody can take anything from you. It works like this. So, soul consciousness puts you in a place where you don't have anything to fear and nobody can do anything to you, because nobody can harm a person who is unafraid. People have to bank in on your fear to harm you. And nobody can buy you because you don't have a price, because you don't have a desire. So there is a very beautiful saying: if you don't have a price, you can't be bought. So nobody can buy you, nobody can harm you. And you can do whatever you want, the way you want, and how, and when you do it the way you want to do it, you get the result you want. Because your energy is untainted, unwavered by these two emotions of desire and fear. So, I will tell you, in my journey as uh, a spiritual, what do you say, a person on the path of spirituality, I have practiced maybe for 3 long years every day this one thing, that I am a soul, I come alone, I go alone, I have nothing to lose, and I don't want anything. I am a soul, I come alone, I go alone, I have nothing to lose, and I don't want anything. I will just do my karma. And this one thing is the secret to success. So, when you have no desire, no fear, your karma is very powerful. And it leads you to a destiny which you can't even imagine for yourself. So that is how you train yourself in soul consciousness. Okay, so we will practice this no desire, no fear thing in the end. So I will keep this day's lesson to this much, and let me read the comments and the questions. If you are in a relationship and you do everything to make someone happy at any cost, and after some time that person called you the liability, then what do you do? Because you cannot ensure somebody being thankful even if you give your life to them. So you do it, you do what you think is right, and you do it until you think it is right. And then when you feel that no, it's not working, then you have to renegotiate. So I think renegotiation is a very big part of relationships. So when you enter into a relationship, there is a certain contract. So although that contract is unsaid and unwritten, there is a contract. So you feel, okay, I'll do this for this person and that person will do this for me. But then once you start understanding that that's not happening, so renegotiate it in your mind, and then you can decide how much you want to do and how long you want to do, because you don't have any way to force that person to do what you want them to do. So you can renegotiate your part of the contract, and if one party breaches it, then you renegotiate. It's not called a breach. Okay, it's just renegotiation. Okay. So we have habit. Okay, quick reaction is a habit. So we need to change our habits. This is why we are taking this gyan. Okay, to vent it out. Okay. Um, then there is, wait a second. Okay, so if someone is shouting, we have to keep quiet. No, I said that no reaction does not mean no action. Okay, we are moved by emotions, so we are not able to react. So this we covered this in the session. Okay, that's only possible from when mind is calm. This is why you have to train your mind first, which we are doing. है ना? So when you are in soul consciousness, I told you, you are on your seat and then your mind obeys you. Emotions are absence of feelings is confusing. Are emotions without feelings? Yes. So yes, basically it's you. What is confusing is the terminology. So emotions, we are referring to the negative and forceful sides like lust, anger, ego, attachment, and greed. And when I'm saying feelings, they are peace, purity, love, happiness, bliss, and power. So this is how we have defined it here. And uh, there is a very thin line between love and attachment, between greed and responsibility or karma, right? So we will touch upon these thin lines in a session. But what I mean is, feelings are pure, emotions are mixed. Emotions are very powerful, feelings are very subtle. So when I say feelings, I am referring to purity, peace, love, happiness, bliss, and power. And when I'm talking about emotions, I'm talking about lust, anger, ego, attachment, greed, fear, desire, laziness. Okay, all of these tough ones. So mostly the negative set. All right. Now, again, I understand that it is very confusing for us because we have not we have not actually made a distinction between negative and positive. So we don't know how attachment is negative. So we will talk about this tomorrow first thing so that it gets clear. All right. We get most hurt when children hurt us or neglect us. So children don't hurt us, they do what they are capable of doing. And we get hurt because we are only capable of getting hurt because we have done that for very long. So you have to work on your sanskar of getting hurt. All right, so then there is, I might miss some questions because this mouse isn't working today. Okay. Where does fear originate? Fear originates from the belief system that you are a body. Okay. So when you are a soul, you're fearless. When you think you are a body, you are full of fear. Because I told you loss. When you identify with something that is impermanent, you are subjecting yourself to the possibility of a feeling of loss. Okay, and that gives rise to fear. Recollect that session on loss, sadness, anger, and fear. All right. If do not desire, then how can we achieve? Yes. So you do not achieve when you desire, you achieve when you do. Okay, so now, yes, I understand. See, we were taught desire, do, achieve. Okay, now change this to I am, so I do, so I am, so I do, so I achieve. For example, I don't need anything, but I do 8 hours of seva every day. Why? Because God has bestowed me with a gift, and that gift can't go to waste. Okay, so you are bestowed with a buddhi, you are bestowed with skills, talents. So you are a resource. You are called a human resource in management jargon. So you are a resource, and it is your duty to ensure that this resource gets productively utilized. So I'm a resource, so I need to do justice to the universe which has bestowed with me with so much capacity. So you do that and you get what you do. Okay, so you don't have to do because you want something, you have to do because you are someone. Okay, so when you do because you want something, it comes from a place that I'm not enough, I'm not good enough, and I want something, then I'll be good enough. But if you come from a place that I am great, I am good, I am capable, so I need to do justice to my capacity and just do what I'm capable of, and then I will get proportionately. All right, so this is how it works now. Is it all right, Nivesh bhai? Okay. What if other people's actions and words are affecting my life decisions, and what will happen in the near future? All right. So, other people's actions, see, people do what they do. Your life starts from your consciousness, thought, behavior, the list I told you, right? So, only when what they do is able to affect your consciousness of who you are, can it affect your life. So you have a choice to decide whether it will affect your life or not affect your life. Nobody's action can affect your life. If it can affect your mind, it can affect your life. Okay, so that is why this interface between other people and my life is my mind. And this is why we are empowering the mind, so that even if somebody is on their worst behavior, I do not get sucked into their drama. I make my choices and I make my life. Because even if somebody asks you to do something on gunpoint and you do it, you will have to bear the consequences. They will not have to. Because karma, the consequences of karma are borne by the person who does the karma. Now, whether you did it under force, you did it in reaction, you did it because you were not okay, doesn't matter. You did it, you bear with it. So that is why you have to be very careful about what you do. And for that, you have to not be influenced or pressurized by anybody. And for that, you have to have a strong mind. All right. So people will allure you, people will threaten you. There are two things that people do. They allure you and they threaten you. So you don't have to get allured, you don't have to feel threatened, because you are a soul, nobody can kill you. And you don't have to feel allured because you don't want anything. This is why this practice is so important. And when you practice this soul consciousness, desire and fear don't have a way with you. And then people cannot control your life because they cannot control your mind. And believe me, people are very smart. As soon as they discern that this person is strong headed, they stop playing their games. Okay. When I have a goal in mind, I want to score well in an exam, is it wrong to have any expectations? Does this come under desire? I told you, you don't have to fix what you want to do. You have to fix who you are, work for it. The goal is sitting there. Sometimes you get better than the goal you had set. Okay, you have to not focus on what you want, you have to focus on who you are and act according to who you are. Are children's sanskars the same as ours? Are they the same soul? Are they one soul in half? So you and the husband get split in half and then no, it's not like that. So they have different sanskars. We will talk about this also in a future session. What if, please explain who am I point with all 6 things that I should know. Okay, so we covered I am a soul. So the name, then form is point of light, Qualities: knowledge, purity, peace, happiness, bliss, and power. Address is temporary address behind the eyes. And occupation, I'm meant to do I'm meant to do action in sync with who I am. So you have to know your capacity and act accordingly. That is your occupation. You are on Karam Kshetra, so you do as you are. That is your occupation. And then there is your relationship with yourself. So we are trying to forge a good relationship with ourselves. All right. Chalo, let's meditate and then we will finish. It's already a little, we've crossed our time. Just sit still. Forget the time. Forget everything around you. Just be aware of this one fact, that I am a soul. I am a tiny point sitting behind the eyes. This is all that I am. Look at yourself. You are a being. A being that is eternal and invincible. I am eternal. I am never born and I never die. I keep changing costumes, but I never cease to exist. I'm always there. I'm invincible. Nobody can kill me. Nobody can harm me. Nobody can break my spirit. I'm complete in myself. A perfect point. Full in every respect. Full in peace. Full in happiness. I do not need anything to complete myself. Just see yourself, a full soul, eternal and invincible. Just stay in this feeling for some time.